right, this afternoon, I'm thankful to Pastor Eugene and his team for the invitation to speak to you in these next few minutes. I want to just tip your feet into the area of missiology, the study of missions, and move a little away from evangelism. I guess some of you know the difference. Evangelism is when we talk about how to reach other Christians. That's what we've been doing mostly. But mission is how do we reach others who are not adherents of Christianity. The Buddhists, the Muslims, ATR, which is African traditional religions, or even Jews for that matter. And I want this afternoon to let you just do a very short exercise, and I'm going to encourage you to just use your little notebook, so beautifully designed by Pastor Eugene. And I've got two questions for you that I want you to consider this afternoon. And we are going to give you a few minutes just to do this so that you can have this reflection and then action. And after that, I want to introduce you to one method called the interreligious dialogue of speaking to people of other religions. Remember, now we're not talking only to fellow Christians, but to other religions. And then I have a lovely feature for you of a missionary nurse who's here on holiday and who will share with us a story in working in particular with Muslims. So that's what we hope to cover in these few minutes. So in your book, if you could be so kind to write there the two words, acquaintances and friends. And I want to ask you the question, and this is what you maybe want it to look like when you have the columns. You can't maybe see it so clearly, but in the first column, you're going to have 3 columns in that little book. Write Muslims, Hindus, Buddhist, or ATR, which is African traditional religions like Zionist, for example. Okay, so that's the first column. But Muslims, Hindus, Buddhists, and ATRs, those are the 4 I'm asking you to consider. Then in your second column, you can write acquaintances. And I know it's not an easy English spelling, so AC will do fine as long as you know what it is. And then in the third column, I'm asking you to write friends. Now, I've done this with my students in theology, and some of them have come to a shocking truth, and this is what I want you to consider this afternoon. I want you to write in that second column, next to Muslims, how many Muslim acquaintances do you have? That means, if I had to ask you this afternoon, show me the Muslims that you know, how many people would you have? Would it be 0? Would it be 0 to 10 or more than 10? Just write down for yourself. The next group, of course, is how many friends do you have that belong to the Islamic faith as Muslims? How many Muslim friends do you have? Okay? Now, friends. Some may be family, but that's another column. I'm just asking friends. In other words, you know something about them, they're your friends, you visit with them, you mingle with them. How many do you have? All right? You can maybe just write a number there. The same I'm asking or requesting you to do about Hindus. How many Hindu acquaintances do you have? How many Hindu friends do you have? Let's go to Buddhist. How many Buddhists do you know? How many Buddhist friends do you have? And somebody may ask, what's a Buddhist? That's also true. And then lastly, ATRs, anybody in the African traditional religions, for example, as I've mentioned, Zionist or so, how many acquaintances do you have and how many friends do you have? Now, I know we could spend all of my 25 minutes just on talking about your results, but I'm going to ask you just to peep over to your neighbor or get a little closer and share your score. Just share with that person, what was your best number in those? Okay, just share for a minute. I'll just give you a minute to share with them. What was the best group, the biggest number that you have? Okay, now for some of you, that may be a discovery. And I'm asking you to do an honest one. I'm not going to put your scores up, but I want to, as I've said, to just do a reflection. And then I want to leave you with a question. What are you going to do about your numbers? What are you going to do about your numbers? If we want to reach 2/3 of the world in the major religions, and we don't even know somebody in that religion, how are we going to reach them? If I don't even know what the Buddhists look like or is, how will I reach them with the gospel? So this afternoon, that is really what I want to share with you. And I want to just move on to our interreligious dialogue. I want to share with you 10 rules called the dialogue decalogue. Just a play of words, you know the decalogue as the 10 commandments. This is really the 10 rules of interreligious dialogue, and it's by a gentleman called Leonard Swidler. And I want to encourage and challenge you this afternoon to look at your list that you have and start somewhere with this tool, which is interreligious dialogue. I'm not talking Christian to Christian. I'm talking Christian to any other religion. Okay, are you ready to go with me? Let me define for you what dialogue is according to Swidler. It's a conversation on a common subject between two or more persons with differing views. The primary purpose of which it is for each participant to learn from the other so that he or she can change and grow. Now, here's the challenge to you. As a Christian, do you feel there's anything that you can learn from these 4 major religions I've mentioned to you this afternoon? Let's go with the first commandment. The primary purpose of dialogue is to learn, that is to change and grow in the perception and understanding of reality, and then to act accordingly. Now, I need to stress that dialogue is not debate. All right? Dialogue is not debate. It's not confrontation. I do not come with something that I know more of and better of and then want to show you how little you know and that you should adopt my point of view. That is debate. But dialogue, we come with a perception, and if we are truly true to ourselves, we should come with all integrity and may have to change in speaking to another religion if we want them to change in speaking to them. That's the first commandment. All right? Second commandment. I hope you're going to keep up with me. We don't have a lot of time. I'm just tipping your feet into the river and waters of interreligious dialogue. Second commandment. Dialogue must be a two-sided project within and between each religious or ideological community. That means that when I speak to somebody who is not a Christian, I must also be able to listen and understand their point of view about what they believe and understand about Christianity. I do not come and appear and say, all right, this is what I want to share with you about my faith and my religion, and when we're done talking, we move away. No, we need to have this two-sided project where we also listen and learn from the adherent of the other religion. Then we come to the third commandment. It starts to get a little more intricate and also a little more interesting. Each participant must come to the dialogue with complete honesty and sincerity. Now, do you think we can speak to a Muslim sincerity? Coming to them, and what we share, we are completely honest about it. I've tried that, and I must say, at this stage, the third commandment, I have lost the interreligious dialogue many a time. I've been asked very directly more than once by a Muslim and by a Hindu and said, why do you want to have dialogue with me? Complete honesty and sincerity. And they concluded that I had an agenda. And that was the end of our dialogue. I have an agenda. So that's the third one. The fourth commandment, in dialogue, we must not compare our ideals with our partner's practice, but rather our ideals with our partner's ideals, our practices with our partner's practice. Let me give you an example here. We're talking about the vices and the virtues. You know that in the Hindu religion, there's a practice called suti. This is when a husband dies. They used to do this, that the live widow was buried with the husband. Okay? Now already your reaction is telling me something. You in dialogue now with this, and you come from, and you think about life, because Jesus told us to love your neighbor as you love yourself. We must value life. But here you have a different practice that says when the partner dies, both die. There is no more marriage, so therefore buried together. It's the end of that marriage. Now when we speak, we must not compare our ideals with what happens in reality. I'm leaving you with the fourth commandment. I'm going on to the fifth. How are we doing with time, sister? We good? Okay. Number 5, each participant must define himself. Conversely, the one interpreted must be able to recognize himself in the interpretation. What are we talking about here? What we mean with this is only a Buddhist knows what it's like to be a Buddhist. Right? So when I'm telling a Buddhist, this is how I see you. This is what you do, you know, you give nice massages, you eat good food, you're vegetarian, you come over to this country and help our people. When we talk about the Buddhists like that, he or she must say, okay, that is what we like. Yes, we are like that. And by the same token, when we tell them, I'm a Christian, then they must be able to tell me what do they know about Christians. And sometimes in the conversation, in the dialogue, you may find that the one has a totally warped idea of what that religion is about. So that is where you must be able to recognize yourself in the interpretation and understanding. Number 6, each participant must come to the dialogue with no hard and fast assumption as to where the points of disagreements are. Let me explain this a little bit. We should not only listen to the other partner with openness and sympathy, but we must also agree that at some point we may differ. There may be disagreements. And then we need to find that place that we're saying. For example, when the person says to you, there is no God. For you, that will be a point of disagreement where you cannot carry on because that disagreement ends this dialogue. So you need to agree on that and see how far can you go in this inter-religious dialogue. Are we still together? You're looking good and you're doing good. Let's go to number 7. Dialogue can take place only between equals. Par cum pari. That was the Vatican way of describing it. But what it really means is, if you are a lay person, do not start off with interreligious dialogue with the imam. Okay? Or a Buddhist priest. Pick somebody who's also a lay person. And if you're a pastor or you're a teacher, try to find somebody on your level, an equal in the life that you have. If you're a nurse, another nurse is good. If you are a pastor, you may find that when you have this inequality, that the other person may feel there's a power struggle. Okay? And so that may not help. That's the dialogue. Okay, I want to move on to number 8, and this has been said all over so far as the previous speakers. I've appreciated Pastor Nigel talking about Christ's method, Pastor Arnold talking about the health message, and Pastor Gous again about relationship matters. All of this feed into this interreligious dialogue. Number 8, dialogue can take place only on the basis of mutual trust. If you don't trust the person and he or she do not trust you, if you haven't built up that trust that we heard about all day today, then I am sorry to say you're not going to get far with your interreligious dialogue. Because we can only build dialogue amongst persons once we trust each other. Otherwise, I'm all the time listening to see or listening for, where will you catch me out? What is the catch? And sometimes I must admit, I've had this many times with Muslim counterparts who says, I'm not sure if I can trust you Christians. And I say, but I'm listening and learning from you. He says, yeah, but what are you going to do with that? And then I try to explain, well, I'm trying to move closer to you. To the what? Somebody else said, we've been talking for an hour now. I enjoy your company, but I'm worried where this is going to. What are you going to sell me at the end of the line? You see? And when you have that mistrust, the person may feel that he or she may not want to continue. Okay? I'm going to ask our timekeeper, can you tell me when we have 10 minutes left? Okay? Thank you. Number 9, persons entering into dialogue must be at least minimally self-critical of both themselves and their own religious or ideological traditions. This is the 9th commandment. And here I want to say to you, I had to learn the hard way in interreligious dialogue that adherents of other religions look at all Christians as a whole. The one time I did this, the Muslim who was a medical doctor said to me that you Christians all eat pork. And I said, but we don't eat pork. We are Adventist Christians. He says, no, all Christians are the same. And the more I was trying to disprove that, the more he was saying, but aren't you a Christian? I said, yeah, I'm a Christian. Well, you all eat pork. And I said, no, but you see, Adventist Christians are different to other Christians. Oh, we didn't see it like that. All Christians are the same. And I realized there that I had to be self-critical, recognize to the Muslim, there are things that are not right in our situation. Even as Christians, and Adventist Christians, there are some things we do which are not the same all over. All right, I'm ending off with number 10, and then Louise is going to talk to us. Commandment number 10. Each participant eventually must attempt to experience the partner's religion or ideology from within. Now, this is the hardest part. All right? There are emotional and spiritual power of the symbol and cultural vehicles. Will you be willing to say to a Muslim, for example, please come to our church and worship with us? And he says, no problem. But I want you to come with me also to the mosque on Friday afternoon. Will you experience it from within? These are just 10 commandments according to Swidler this afternoon, and it really comes down to building relationships. In the last few minutes, I would like you to listen now to a story about reaching Muslims by a missionary nurse, and I introduce you to Sister Louise Calvert. Listen to her. She's here on holiday, and I have just asked her to share with you briefly. As you see, we've got a few minutes, but over to you, Sister Louise.
Assalamu alaikum.
Salam.
كيف حالك? Good afternoon. It is such a privilege to be here. Thank you for the evangelistic team. I am super excited to be here. I am a nurse working in the 1040 window. And I must say that we are 24/7 on duty, the right arm of the gospel, which are the nurses. I want to speak specifically with nurses also this afternoon Can I see a hand of nurses sitting in the congregation? Yes, we have some nurses here, we have some doctors here, but yes, that one in front also. I've been working now in the 1040 window for 18 years. When I left, I wasn't what I am today. I am in love with Jesus. I become excited when I go to work. What do I do when I go to work? My night or my morning start in the evening when we apply the 8 laws of life, of the law. You have to go sleep early. So I can get up early in the morning. And what do I do when I get up in the morning? Mrs. White is telling us in the book Steps to Christ, page 70, consecrate yourself in the morning. Do we know that one? Yes, consecrate yourself in the morning, making this your very first work. Let your prayer be, take me, O Lord, as wholly thine. I lay all my plans at thy feet. Use me today in your service. Who of us want to go to mission fields? Can I see a hands here who wants to go to mission fields? I see a lot of hands, but let me tell you, I am in my mission field where I've been placed in my workplace. That is my mission field. So I prepared myself last night. I consecrate myself in the morning. I woke up every morning early. I said, Lord, you must wake me up because I want to spend time with you. I want you to fill me with your spirit because I come to realize that I cannot do this work on myself. I need the power of your spirit. And God is giving it to me. Let me tell you, every day I go to work like a soldier. I'm going to work with power behind me, power before me, power beside me. Luke 9 said, God said he called his disciples together, Jesus, in Luke 9, verse 1 and 2. And he said to them, go out. I've given you power. I've given you authority. In my name, you can go and heal. Oh, my dear, I'm going to work. So when I get to work in the morning, I've been allocated by the night in charge my 3 or my 4 patients. I look at the board. This is my patients. Okay. Now I'm going to Dr. Appollos. He's my patient for the day. And these 2 sisters in front is my patients. This is what I'm doing with Christ's methods alone. I'm doing it practically. And I want to share it with you. I came into my room and I said to them, good morning, salam alaikum, kefale, with a smile, because I am purposeful in my work, that I have a job to do, I have a command that I need to do. And I have only one day. My assignment changed every day. So I have no time to play, to go to work. I have a mission that I have to accomplish. And so I go and I see Dr. Appollos, very sick. Very painful. What do? I said to him, I will be your nurse for this morning. And my name is Louise. I'm wearing this emblem to be identified that I am a Seventh-day Adventist. Many of us, we don't know who we are, but I am a Seventh-day Adventist. And so this specific evening when I came on duty, I came in, I saw the mother. She was unconscious. Her daughter is very, very distraught. Her mother complicated after surgery. I have to mingle with her. I have to give her hope. This is my duty because I have been given a mandate to do. And so I said to her, okay, this is the plan for us. I'm telling my patient and the family, because in every room there's a family member. Our patients are not alone. The family members must be there to support them socially. I have other patients, so I cannot always take them to the bathroom or whatever I can do, but I need to build a relationship with this one that is with the mother, with the patient, so that I can have her helping me for the day. And so I said to her that I will be your nurse for today. And I done my first assessment of the patient, have to go back and see my other patients, and I have to prepare the medication or for a procedure. I came back the evening, so I have to do the care now. We have to do washes. Brothers and sisters, we have to wash your sick one. And we have to do it in such a way that brings dignity to our master. We don't do it for anyone or for anyone to be seen. We're doing it for the master. And so I said to her, I'm going to prepare. She said, okay. And while I was washing with the most dignified way that I can do it, as I've been taught in my nursing school. See, look at me. And while I was busy working, she said to me, you are different. I said, what do you mean? You're talking to me. Grace, mingle with these people. I said, yes, because I have to talk to you. And so she just came out and she said to me, you know what? I have read in the Quran that I need to read the Torah, which is the 5 books of Moses. I need to read the Injil, which is the 4 books of the Gospels. We need to read the book of David, which is the Psalms. I said, oh, I didn't know that. She said, yes. We have to read it. And so when I read that in the Quran, I am looking for these books. I cannot find these books in my country. And she's also a nurse. I've asked my Christian nurses, she said to me, nobody wanted to give to her. Maybe they didn't even have one. And so she said to me, I wish I can have one of it. Because I want to read what does it say. She has been looking into all the bookshops in the 1040 window. She cannot find it. But then one person said to her, you need to go into jomalon.com. I asked, what is that? She said, it's the same, like Amazon.com. I said, oh, yeah, it's where all Arabic books are. And then she found a place in Lebanon where they are having the books. And so she said to me, no, I called them. I said, really? Yes, I called them. And then what happened? The guy said, you know what? You know, if I send the books into your country, it's going to be confiscated. She said, my hopes were just dashed. And when we talked that time, she said it was 8 months ago. And here I come, I said to her, you know what? I have one. What? I said, I have one. Really? I said, yes. And in your own language. Oh, will you bring it to me? Will you bring it to me, please? I've never seen someone who wants to read the Word of God. And so the following evening, I was not assigned. But as I prepare myself and I ask God, how am I going to give the book? Because it says in Arabic what it is actually. The Spirit is speaking with us when we listen to the voice of God. And the Spirit said to me, please cover it with a red wrapping. I've done that. Put it in my bag. Put it in my locker. And so I waited until the coast is clear. And when her nurse went on lunch, she texted me, you can come. I was running to my locker room. I got it and I went to her. When I went into her room, she looked at me and I said to her, here is it. She took it and looked at it and held it to her heart. She said, you will never understand. With tears in her eyes, I've been looking so long. Can you see that God is already at work? We just have to come and be a willing person that God can use you and me. And so I gave her the book, She asked, how should I work and do with this book? Because the Holy Quran is not just thrown on the floor. I said, you can also wash your hands, put it also at a place of honor, and you read it. She was so happy. I said, bye, I have to go now. So I have a contact number. And so the next evening, I text her. So, what happened? Everyone wants to know what happened. I think you would have also asked what happened. What happened? What did God do with that in her hand? And so she said to me, no, it's the first time this afternoon that I was sleeping. If you cannot sleep, read the Word of God. She said to me, but you know what? My sister took the book. I said, oh my word, what? Your sister took the book? Where to? She's home. And then she told her father, very lovely family, and her father said, don't worry. Let you also read so that you also can sleep by reading this book. I'm still in contact with her until today. I'm sharing devotionals, not just with my Christian friends, but most of my community where I'm working. The majority is Muslims. Some of them are Hindus, and some of them are atheists. And so she said to me, Louise, my life has been changed since I've reading this book. Let me share with you tips that I have formulated what we can do. Pray beforehand for the Holy Spirit to lead and ask for His wisdom. Listen well to the other person and ask questions. Agree with and affirm the person as much as you can. No argue needs to go on. Remain kind and cheerful. Analyze where the person is at spiritually and give milk before you're going to give any solids. And then the last one, second to the last, pray afterward for the Holy Spirit to work mightily in that person. That person has been brought into your presence, and you're going to pray for that person every day. And the last point, claim Bible verses for the person. The prophet, you will say the prophet Moses says so. You will say the wisest king says so. You will say David says so, because they know about David or David. They know about Moses, and they know about King Solomon.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Sister Louise. That's all we have time for today. And just to summarize that, we would like you to change that number you may have in knowing and making friends with those who are adherents of other religions. May God bless you as you apply the things you hear today, and may His kingdom be advanced, because God is at work, as you heard. And we thank you for your attention and for your time. Thank you, Pastor.